Hi everyone. Sorry, had a few technical glitches there, so we're a little bit late. Thank you for joining me today for my live with Sarah Trunk, who is a film and costume designer. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining. Sarah Trunk has a jewellery account called What the Trunk Jewels. Just waiting for Sarah to join now, and then we're going to start our little afternoon chat, our Friarhouse Friday. Hey, Visit Battle, how are you? Thanks for joining. I love it when we get locals on. Hello, hello, come on down. Welcome to our chat. So I've got some really interesting questions for Sarah. I love it talking to people in the jewellery community, in the antique jewellery community. Here she is. Let's invite her along. Come on, Sarah. Have you received my request? Yes, you have.
Oh, I didn't know if that was you or me then.
Oh, no, that worked.
This is my first live, so I was like, am I doing something wrong?
No, you weren't. Well, I was trying to start the live a minute ago and I had no internet on my phone. So we have got internet. I just had it switched off. That was me being an idiot. So, but no, well done.
We're on now. It's fine.
Yeah, that was pretty smooth. How are you? How's your day going?
Oh, I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, really well.
And I'm really, when I invited you to come on a chat, and then we were chatting, and then you told me about your career being a film and costume designer. I was like, oh my God, I've got to talk to this lady, because she's going to have, we could probably sit and chat all afternoon talking about what you do.
Yeah.
And obviously we want to talk a bit about the jewelry as well. But
Yeah.
how did you? I'm just going to dive straight in here.
Yeah, do it.
My ring light nearly fell over then. How did you get into that career of being, in making costumes, being a costume designer? How did it all start?
Well, I was always creative as a kid. Always.
Yeah.
I was always collecting things. I've always been a collector. My dad is actually was a toy collector, so we used to get dragged around toy fairs when I was little all the time. I remember collecting, like, I'd collect anything, and I collected like key rings, and everywhere I went I'd buy a key ring, and I'd just put them all in a box and pour them all out on the floor and just look at them, spend hours looking at them. So I've always loved creating things and collecting things. I think that's something that's either in you or it isn't. And I mean, I've got endless collections of God knows what in my house currently. It never ends. I'm always trying to collect something. And I will go off on a million tangents as well. So you have to rein me in. But yeah, I did fashion. I was very lucky. I kind of knew what I wanted to do. My mum taught me to sew. I did fashion at college, and then from there I kind of realized my work was a bit different to everybody else's. I love fashion, but I was kind of leaning towards storytelling, and I really loved that side of things, creating characters. So I went and did a degree in costume design.
And where did you do that, Sarah?
I did it in Scarborough, so I believe the course doesn't exist anymore, but when I did it, I did making for 2 years, and then I majored in design, and then moved down to London and never looked back.
Oh, basically. I mean, I admire you being a scene mistress, because I think I'm quite arty and artistic, and I did art at school and design, but sewing, I've never been a sewer. I can't sew a straight line. Nah, that's, even a button. Sewing a button on, I go and take it to my mum. My boys, if they lost a button on a shirt or something, I just take it round to my mum.
I mean, it is good to have a sewing background. Not everybody does. Some designers can't sew and art makers. Yeah. There's different. I know that even like in terms of studying, you can just do design where you don't actually make and you don't learn to make. And I think I I think it's really important to learn how to make, because you understand what does and doesn't work when it comes to design from that.
I can
So
understand that.
for me, it's been really useful. But I actually, on a day-to-day basis, I don't get to sew ever. Like I never, you know, I don't physically do that at work. I have a lovely big team and they do it for me.
Yeah.
And actually, the only time I get to sew is like hobby in my spare time.
Well, that's
Yeah,
actually
spare time.
nice, because I could imagine sewing is very intense, isn't it? And I could, you know, if you're sewing to a pattern, and takes a lot of brain
Oh,
cells, to, you
God,
know, to
yeah,
make sure
yeah,
the lines and everything's, you know, exact.
yeah.
So I can imagine if you do it as a hobby, it probably makes it more, you know, you probably enjoy it more. Am I
Yeah.
right?
I'm
Yeah.
not, and I'm not precise enough. I've got so much respect for good makers, honestly. Like, yeah, yeah, I'm not very patient.
Oh, but so how many years have you been in the business of
um,
costume design?
so 12 years now I've
Really?
been working in the industry. Only recently, the past few years, gone out on my own as a costume designer in my
Yeah.
own right. But kind of learned my trade off everybody to the point where I needed my own challenge.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I really enjoy now going forward.
So
Um,
what was your first sort of big break? Because how as a costume designer do you even get work? Is it word of mouth? Are you with an agency?
so I have an agent now. Now
Yeah.
that I design in my own right, I have
Yeah.
an agent, and I think with a certain amount of experience, you get to that point. But when you're first starting out, and obviously I'm freelance, so I never know when the next job's
Yeah.
coming.
That's
No,
hard, isn't it?
none of us do, and you either can get along with that or you can't. It's very difficult, and I think in the early years it's more difficult
Yeah.
because it's a very strange way to live your life. You know, you're full on, you give your heart and soul like 1,000,000% to a job. You don't have a life when you're working most of the time,
Sounds like my
and
trade.
yeah, and you do that for 6 months or whatever, and then it just ends and you say goodbye to everybody, and the next day you literally wake up and you're like, oh, I don't have
That's
a job anymore.
strange.
And that takes experience to get used to. Like, what do you then do when that job's gone and
Yeah.
you're waiting for your next job? You know, do you sit at home like panicking and worrying and living with anxiety about where the next job's
Yeah.
coming from, or do you just enjoy that time while you've got it?
Yeah.
And that's a
Wow.
learning curve for sure.
Yeah. So what has been one of my questions that I because we've talked about what I was going to ask you, everybody, just because I think it's great just to get something to bounce back on. But what's
Yeah,
been your greatest achievement? What's been the work that you've probably most enjoyed doing over the 12
yeah,
years?
so that it's a hard one, because I think every job, what I love about my job is that every job is so different. So
Yeah.
I love the fact that, you know, I can be doing a space film one day and an apocalyptic film, you know, the next. And actually the research, you know, when I do a job, I throw everything into it. So the research is my favorite part, and I'm such a workaholic and a perfectionist really at
Yeah.
what I do. So I'm proud of something from everything I've done. But I guess, going back to your question, one of the things I'm most proud of is actually being able to create. Now I'm, you know, designing myself,
Yeah.
creating a working environment where everybody wants to come to work, everybody enjoys it. Like, these jobs are really hard, they're
Yeah.
tough, and so it's really important to me that, you know, you work with these people that become like
Yeah.
family. You know, you work together
Sarah.
for 12 months, and it's nice to be nice and to work with nice people and have a nice environment. And
Yeah.
I did a TV series, that's probably my last biggest thing, Willow, a couple of years
Yeah.
ago
And
now.
that's Disney, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we'd set up in Wales, and I didn't know anybody in Wales. I took a few core people. So my husband Mark came, and I had an assistant and a few core people, but the majority of the crew were from Wales. And by the end of that 12 months, so many friendships had formed within the department. You know, everybody just had a brilliant time. Like it was a hard job. They all are, but the environment that was created, I'm proud. I'm still very proud of that. And you know, I think we probably could have had up to 100 people in the department then.
Oh, so when can I ask you, so say for instance, Willow, how many what are we talking about? Because I don't know the cast. How many different outfits are involved in a movie like that?
There's literally hundreds. I mean, I think sometimes your number one actor can have 30 changes.
Oh my God.
And on Willow, I think we had about 200 principals, so 200 named cast, and then obviously all the extras in all the different worlds that we made a lot of stuff for.
Yeah.
So it was endless, to be honest. So the team is literally crucial. You can't do it without a good big team and network. Yeah.
Do you have you know, I was thinking, do they have like archive wardrobes that you can go in and adapt costumes to, you know, like you could go from one movie and say, well, we can take some of that and readapt it. Is it all from scratch?
Yeah, no. There's our lifesavers costume. We do have costume houses. So
really?
there's obviously there's a huge one in Hendon called Angels, which is, you might have heard of. It's massive, and they are, I mean, it's just life-saving when you're on any job. You know, you, especially for background, you know, you've got 500 extras. It's not possible to make something for everybody on a lot of productions. You're very lucky if you can, and so we rely on hire houses. There's another one, Cosprop, in the UK, and Sands. There's a few. There's a handful here, but Europe. So we often go to Spain if we're going to do. I mean, on Willow, I had 2 costume houses in Spain. You know, pre-COVID, and probably now as well. You go over there and you pick things, and I got things from the States as well, and from like obviously vintage dealers.
So they're shipped over if you're buying them, because obviously if the movie was filmed in Wales, it's shipped to Wales, is it? Is that how it works?
So you rent them for a period, for however long you need them. So I think on Willow there was a wedding scene at the end of the show, and we needed like high glamour, and I knew that the place to get it was the States. So I hired somebody over there to go into the costume houses, photograph things for me, and we did it all, you know, online. And then picked everything, and then it gets sent over, and then we use it. So
So I mean, are you working on anything at the moment, Sarah? Like
no, I've just done a short film. And I did some creative directing before Christmas, which was for an eyewear brand, which was absolutely brilliant, and I loved that. So I did photo shoots. It was nice to do something like not moving. But so no, nothing at the minute. But it's always this time. Things start to pick up from spring normally. So
that's the same with everything, isn't it? I think we've all been hibernating in this extra long winter, which has just felt that it's gone on forever, and it's still clinging in there a bit, isn't it? And it's we need it to be gone, don't we? But so I guess like with the actors, do you do like personal fittings with them to measure up for costumes? Do they have to? I guess they have to have that.
So we do fitting. So often you don't always have the cast when you get the script. Sometimes you might not kind of know who's playing number one. Sometimes you don't, so you're designing the show without knowing who's acting the role, which can change if an actor comes along and you're like, oh, actually, you know, maybe that doesn't work anymore,
Yeah.
or whatever. And so often you've done a bit of work, research, mood boards, you've got kind of you've got your basic creative vision before you see the actors, and then that's kind of like when the magic starts to happen, because you know the costumes are nothing until you get a body in there, and so
Yeah.
the fittings can be really crucial to the design process, because you know it isn't until you start trying things on and seeing what does and doesn't work. And you know these actors bring their charisma, they bring their
To life, don't they?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And they often have their own, you know,
I mean,
thoughts and ideas as well, which is, you know, a collaboration. So
because one of the last films I went to see, which I quite enjoyed, was Wonka.
oh
And
yeah,
you know the guy, you know, he's like a heartthrob, isn't he? What's his name? I can't think of his name.
yeah,
George Youngboy.
Chalamet,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I mean, the costumes for Wonka. I mean, and what you've just said, Sarah, I felt he played that part very
yeah,
well. And I thought the costumes and everything in that were, you know,
yeah.
were amazing.
It's a collaboration from those fitting processes. It's fun. It's really, it's definitely a
Do,
process that people
do
maybe don't
you
realize.
doing historical you know, costumes? Because lately, you know, there's lots of things, you know, like you've got Peaky Blinders, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Or you can even go, you know, like I watched quite a good Netflix series called Griselda, which was sort of filmed in the 70s, 80s. And, you know,
yeah,
it had that, the whole filming of it, I don't know, as a film director, how you would, it had like a glossing over it, and I really enjoyed it.
yeah.
And I loved all the jewelry. There was a lot of designer jewelry in that I clocked
Yes.
straight away. So
Um,
I quite like sort of retro as well as period and historical dramas. How about you?
yeah, I mean, I think my heart genre, my favorite is fantasy,
Is it?
really. Yeah. I mean, like Willow was the ideal scenario for me because you've got glamour and you've got trolls and you've got
Oh,
a bit of gore. So that is my absolute love. But obviously I've always loved period. I mean, I've always loved historical costume clothing. I've always had that interest. I guess what interests me most is things that have a bit of a twist to them. So obviously I work with Sandy on The Favourite,
oh,
and
did you?
yes,
Oh my God.
and
Olivia Colman, isn't it?
yeah, and
Yeah.
Sandy is like
Yeah.
incredible to watch her work, and the stylization of that job. That's the kind of that it's got to have a little bit of interest like that for me in my
Yeah.
heart, really. Um,
I
so
went
yeah,
to see quite a movie about the Bronte sisters. I think it was called Emily.
oh yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah,
did you see? I quite enjoyed that film, guys. If anyone hasn't seen that, I think you can watch that maybe on Netflix or it might be on Amazon. But if you know the story of the Bronte sisters, you know, and you like history,
yeah,
give it. I recommend that. Give that a watch. But I tell you what, Sarah, we've talked lots about your costume design, which we could carry on, but I want to move to the jewelry because that's why we're here. That's why I reached out to you. So, because you was talking to me about that you do. So, are you in charge of going and sourcing jewelry for like when you're, you know, when you're doing the costume for a period drama or something like that? Would you go to an antique fair? How
yeah.
would you source that?
So yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's one of my favourite
Oh, I
things. It's
bet
one of my favourite.
it is.
It's one of my favourite things. Yeah, I troll Kempton and all of the,
We
you
met.
know.
You must have seen me
Oh,
at Kempton.
I mean, I sometimes go with like a baseball cap on, like practically in disguise. I don't know why. I just get into the zone of like my little world. I have my granny trolley, and I'm off. Like it's one of my. I mean, anywhere I go in the world, I'm at
Well, when you
the antiques.
come to Kempton, please come over and see me and
Oh, I
introduce
will.
me. Don't hide with your baseball cap. The last time I was at Kempton, I might actually show it on Instagram. I've got a beautiful white and blue, like 1920s paste drop necklace. You know, it's really over the top. And I haven't done anything with it, so I must put it up. And I had a girl, I don't think it was you, because, well, you'd have known if you
Yeah,
spoke.
would have. I'd have
And
recognised
she
you.
said that she was buying jewellery for a film set, and I was like, and she was in a baseball cap, and she was quite shady, not in a dodgy way,
Yeah,
but just didn't want to
but
say.
it's interesting you say that, because sometimes you do get worried about people knowing that's what you're buying things for, and I personally, for me, that's because I respect jewelry, historical jewelry. Like, I completely understand what antique jewelry means to people, and so I never want to be. I think we've got this
it's passionate, it's everything.
We've got this misconception, and it might be a misconception, or it could be true, I don't know, that dealers maybe don't want to sell to you because they think, well, it's going to go to a film and it's not going to be loved and respected. And I can see, I mean, I don't know what your opinion on that is, but I can see both sides of that, because, you know, stuff does go to films and stuff does go to the Warner Brothers archive and you never see it again.
Really?
And it is sometimes, but we don't often have enough money to buy real things anyway, you know, real antiques.
This girl that I met, it was only actually last week, and she was sourcing for a historical period drama, and said that the director was Guy Ritchie. And I said to her, look, if you want any jewellery, you don't have to buy it from me. I said, I'll lend it to you. What about that? And so she took my card, because I just think for the kudos.
Well,
come back to me, Sarah.
Yeah, that's another. So I will source stuff myself, buy things at fairs, and then we'll bring it into the workshop. And, you know, I've even done I did a lot in Southall, in all the Indian jewelry shops, buying tons of jewelry. And we'll take it back to the workshop and, you know, adapt things and kind of sometimes, you know, make new things out of things. And the other thing is, like on Cruella, we had a product placement with De Beers.
Did you?
Yes. So we had to use De Beers, and that's fine. You know, that's great. But we also, you know, I've done jobs where we've had like new, you know, smallish designers lend us their work, and then you know, you use it in the film or whatever, and then they can promote themselves. And I always love that, really love that, because that's actually how I can go off on millions of tangents, but that's how I ended up doing the photo shoot with my glasses, because Tom Davies is a glasses designer, and he came and did all the glasses for us on Cruella.
I love your glasses.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I got mine are Alexa Moore.
Oh, nice. I know, I love your glasses.
Yeah, thank you. I like big glasses, frame your face.
Yeah.
Carry on, Sarah. Sorry.
I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just going off on a tangent.
No, we love tangents.
But and then obviously we can hire jewelry as well. So we often go. There's a lady called Sophie Millard. I don't know if anyone's you're aware of her, but she collects costume jewelry that, you know, she collects amazing period costume jewelry, and all of the shows hire from her. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, because we often, you know, you can't use real jewelry on crowd. You know, you can't use expensive things on crowd. You know, if you've got crowd days,
of course not.
On the Crown or whatever, you can't just use, you know, they have to look great. They're in, you know, a banquet or whatever, but you don't have that money. So costume houses rent jewelry. Obviously Sophie Millard, lots of people use her, and then just trawling the fairs to purchase, you know, things that you can then adapt and make, you know, things.
Because what I must say is, when I've, you know, seen Bridgerton and things like that, I'm always, you know, as most jewelry dealers are, looking to think, oh, what have they got? Have they got the real thing? and I can see that often that they haven't. But
Yeah.
I suppose it looks pretty good. But because I'm a sort of a purist, I can see, or sometimes I think, well, that's not that period.
Yeah.
But that's because I'm a jewellery dealer. I
Yeah.
don't think anybody else, Sarah, would probably spot that, to be honest.
Oh,
So
well, I'm the same. I mean, we're all, yeah, I'm the same watching films. I'm like, I don't watch the films like a normal person anymore, I don't think, because you're always spotting like, oh, there's a mic pack, or, oh, continuity. But I think there's a lot of artistic license being taken, which is great, actually. Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot.
Now, you tell me a bit more about you in terms of what the trunk, your account, for everybody who's watching. Sarah, we're talking about Sarah's main job, which is a costume and film costume designer, yes. But she also has her jewellery account. So what's your, tell everyone what your jewellery account.
So firstly, to get all the names situation sorted, I'm Sarah Young. That's what I'm known in the film world, and always have been. My husband is Mark Trunk, and I am Sarah Young Trunk.
Oh my God, that's hard to say.
Yes, but people don't, in my industry, I'm just Sarah Young, and he's Mark Trunk. But in my personal life, I'm Sarah Young Trunk. So anyway, that's where what the trunk jewels came from, really. But it's one of obviously I've got my own collection. I've always been collecting bits, and I've followed everyone's jewelry account always.
That's what you do. Yeah,
I'm obsessed. It's my secret guilty pleasure. And over the past 10-12 years, we've always experimented on the side making jewelry, and he makes me something mostly every year, to be honest.
Oh, can you show us some of your things, and then we'll talk about the
I think I've put on so that was my engagement ring that he made.
Oh wow, he made your engagement ring. Yeah. So what's the centre stone? That is green. Is it a sapphire?
Yeah, it's an Australian green sapphire it's got like 3 blue dots in it. He's Australian.
It almost looks, from my camera, Sarah, it almost looks like a chrysoberyl. It's like a petrol green. Is that the right description?
It changes colour all the time. In different lights, it can look green, yellow, because it's got the bits of blue in it, which is what I love about it. It changes all the time. So that was probably
Georgian look to it. So he's obviously copied the design of a an early ring, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what he's got, a bit of a horror side to him, I'm not gonna lie, but we together we definitely take inspo from antique jewelry, like 100%.
Oh, I mean
that's this is another.
Oh yeah, show us. Wow,
that's something that he made. That's a charm holder that he made for me.
So clever.
Year, I think. So it's something we've been doing for a long time, and every time I wear things, people are always saying to me, oh, I love that, where's that from? And of course it's just something that he's made me and we've done together, and I know that people would love his work because he's amazing.
Sarah, those acorns, have you got any of the acorns left? Because I had that's how we sort of, the acorns is our sort of introduction, isn't it, really?
And I mean,
acorns.
That was just one day we were like, I wonder if you could cast from real acorns, and we did a thistle and just experimenting. That's because what we've always done, and so they were kind of extras we had, and I wear mine. And he started, so Mark, my husband, who I'm talking about, who is Mr. Trunk.
Not that everyone. Mr. Trunk is Mark.
Yeah, Mr. Trunk. He started to teach himself the 3D design probably about 10 years ago, for work. So he's a costume and prop maker. So we met on Mad Max.
My goodness.
That's how we met
On
Mad Max.
Name, isn't it? Mad Max.
In Mad Max on Namibia, he was the costume metalwork sculptor, and I was the assistant costume designer, and that's how we met. And when he came back to the UK with me, because he is from Australia, he started to teach himself the 3D printing. And you know, back, I know it was only 10 years ago, but it wasn't the norm. Like, I'd never even heard of it. And he, like he does, once he's got something in his head, he has to perfect it. And so that's what he did. So he perfected it, taught himself everything. And I think I just asked him earlier, what was the first thing you made on a film that was 3D printed? And he said it was probably Thor's discs from the Avengers. He worked on one of the Avengers, and Thor has these circular discs on his armor, and that's probably the first thing. And now when he started out, it didn't really exist. It wasn't really a job role. And now, you know, there are job roles where in multiple departments in film where you are but you are a 3D sculptor. You sculpt as a 3D modeler. So it's become, you know, quite normal now.
And that could be in any form. It isn't just in like you know, like I'm thinking of you know, a movie that's not with the actual actors. You know, I'm trying to think of you know, like a cartoon type movie. That could be for anything, not necessarily, you know, like Frozen or Willow or because Willow is cartoons, is it not right? Or is it's actually real film?
No, it's real. It's real. It's real.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't. He doesn't do like CGI VFX. Yeah. So he.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, I couldn't.
No, that's a different thing, and I'm not sure. I mean, that world, I've no idea what they do and don't do.
That's like video super in, isn't it? It's completely.
Yeah, but he does. I mean, he does anything through to. I mean, I remember on Beauty and the Beast.
Animation. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Animation.
Thank you, Ashley. I love
you. So he's used it for not just costumes, but he made music boxes. I remember they had to work mechanically, so he would do the mech on the computer and the sculpture and the sculpt. I remember him doing the clock on Fantastic Beasts, so they have a big clock in the foyer, and he did the mech as well as the exterior of the, you know.
God, he's you know, super talented guy, isn't he? I mean, it's amazing, you know, all these people, so clever and creative people that are behind the movie. We all see the actors and love the actors.
Yeah.
Them. But you lot make it happen, really, don't you?
I know, that's right. Well, I'm obviously his #1 fan, and he'd be absolutely mortified, and he would never sit here and do this in a million years. But that's Mark for you.
But I really, honestly, from my heart, I admire, you know, and I just the workmanship and how clever. I mean, I've got Lily here doing some stuff, photography editing, in front of me in the same room. She's listening, but you know, she's doing things and just can do that, and so talented. And I think, and sometimes I feel rubbish because I think I don't, you know, I can do this, sit and chat and sell you jewellery and talk about the you know, the actual detail and fine work of making things. I am in admiration of you, Sarah.
Well, I'm the same with him. I'm the same as you. I can do all the talking, and he can do all the hard work. No, it's a team. It's a team effort, but he's certainly very talented, and you know, he's definitely learned that trade over the past few years, and he's become. I remember we were saying, like, some of his early printers were really unreliable. We've had millions of printers, and you know, I remember stuff going wrong over and over again. You know, it's not a simple I think there's a slight misconception if you don't know anything about the 3D printing and that world. You kind of think, oh well, it's just a computer. The computer does it and it just prints it. And it obviously couldn't be further from the truth, because actually, if he wasn't sat there sculpting it, so he physically sculpts it on the screen, and if he wasn't doing that, the computer wouldn't be doing it. I mean, it's probably will be able to with AI and everything. Like that's probably where it's going. But at the minute, it still completely needs his skill.
Yeah.
If you understand what I mean. So it is an art, it is a craft, and you know, he probably thinks he would love to be able to hand carve in wax, you know, tiny little things, but you know, we're always wanting more, we're always wanting to achieve more, aren't we? And that's what makes us so great.
Yeah, I think that's what makes life, that's what makes the world go round. Because every week in this shop, I mean, I started out life as an antique jewellery dealer on markets, and then we got the shop 20 years ago, and then social media has become a huge part. And and alongside with that is the creative side, where I'm having to think of new ideas, new ways to show our products, our jewellery to people and keep it interesting. And that's why then I'm doing these lives, because people like you, Sarah, I want to, you know, I've got this platform, and I want people to show, to highlight people like you that have got a story to tell and really interesting. And you know, also I think everything's so bloody negative in the world. I'm very aware that I think this is so interesting and positive. I always want everything to be, you know, interesting, positive, informative, learning, just absorbing knowledge.
And that is exactly what your page has always been to me, because obviously I've followed you for ages. I followed loads of accounts. I mean, it's why I came back on Instagram, because I was on Instagram with my personal account and I just kind of got fed up with it. And what brought me back was like, I miss the jewelry so much, because that's what I love doing. And you've always been so generous. I mean, you're so generous doing this and on your page, and you're always shouting out people, and it's just really nice. It's just it's really, really nice.
Well, that's me. That's my whole sort of mantra for my life. Is I think I've always been that. I think when I was at school, just to go back years ago, I went to a girls' school, and I did get quite bullied for various things, and I've never forgotten that, and I hate that feeling. So I'm very you know, that, so it's made me do the opposite, to be caring and sharing, and I think that is what you should be on Instagram. And you know, sometimes when I read people's pages, Sarah, something somebody's put up, and then you see nasty negative comments, I'll sometimes read down, and I wouldn't react to them, but I look at them and I think, what is wrong with you? You know, you should be just saying positive people, just putting out light and good, and you know, and energy, not negative. It's such a shame, but generally I think people are good. There's more good than bad.
And that's, let's focus on those people. I say
definitely. And I think that's most of the lot that follow me. That's what I said to you about our chat. I said, you know what, they're all a lovely bunch of followers. And you know, and I think people are very encouraging of me to do the lives, and that's why I really feel like I feel like when I don't do it one week that I let people down. That's just my thing, because you know, people are really interested, and I'm very aware that, you know, I'm often showing expensive diamond rings that people might not be able to afford, and you know, that I sometimes feel bad about that, but you know, hopefully someone somewhere will buy one. Hello everyone, everyone's waving to us. I feel that's what we should do. I can't actually see their names to say I love you all, thank you for joining us. But you know, I hope so. If they can't buy something from us, Sarah, what they can get from these our accounts and sharing is knowledge and information about antique jewellery. And I'll tell you something else, it doesn't always have to be thousands and loads of money. You can buy beautiful costume jewellery, even from all these antique fairs, you know, like Kempton, you know, Bermondsey, Camden Passage, Portobello. I think Covent Garden. And, you know, if you go and have a right old rummage, even at boot fairs, I don't know if you go, do you?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, in my personal collection, like I do have expensive pieces, but I mix things with, I don't know, something I find that someone does on Etsy, or something I found at the market. It's never about worth to me. It's just about what I love, what, you know. And so and it's the same with my clothes as well. Like I do have expensive pieces, but I'll easily, you know, be wearing something from Zara or wherever, charity shop. I'm in the charity shop all the time. They're sick of me. It's about kind of, I'm not kind of snobbery when it comes to, you know, what things are worth. It's just what I love. And I know I have a very weird, unique style, but
well, you would do, being a costume designer.
yeah.
So I think anything goes. There's no rule book. There's no like, oh, the latest trend, you've got to follow that. You should just follow what you like and what you feel comfortable in, and sod it, you know. I mean, and also, I don't know about you, but sometimes I've bought things from eBay or secondhand things. I've been looking for something and I haven't found it, and then I found it, you know, secondhand on eBay or something like that, and it feels so good, doesn't it, to find a bargain?
Oh, totally.
It feels, you know, better than buying it, you know, full price. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes I do get led astray and pay too much occasionally for something, but I do think lately, you know, there's some fantastic secondhand vintage pre-love sites, and you can even hire clothes now, can't you?
Yeah.
So all the stars, they rent them, don't they?
Yeah, you can rent bags, everything.
I mean, it is. There's so much, you know. I think all this sustainability, but I think I mean, my sons will buy secondhand clothes, you know, if they want something, they'll look on eBay or whatever. They won't go and pay full price.
No, Vinted is a new one that I've discovered as well. People selling their own things. So yeah, no, I absolutely love it.
Now,
so my account, I mean, yeah, I've started it because of just the love for it, really. It's not, you know, obviously it's not going to be worth making stuff, you're not going to be out of pocket, am I? But I'm not doing this to make money. It's just because we just love doing what we're doing.
Have you got anything that you want to sell?
Well,
we go. Come on.
No, I'm really, really close to showing people things that I'm like, right, we're working on this snake hook that will have a spring in it, so it will be spring loaded, so it will work, and it'll be like a dog clip with a snake.
You're going to do so well. Fittings, everyone wants fittings.
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
Oh my goodness.
So that's what we're working on that at the minute. So I want to start, I want and need to start showing some behind the scenes of the process, because I think it would be really interesting, like, you know, the kilns downstairs, he's sculpting on the computer downstairs. So I'm going to start sharing a lot more of that. And then obviously we're working on another moon design. So this one you could order if you wanted.
Wow. Can I ask, how much is that, Sarah?
Well, at the minute we can only do solid gold, so we can't plate anything at the minute, which obviously affects the cost. So solid gold, I think 9 carat. I'm just looking at 9 carat is like $650.
Yeah.
We're working on a double-sided version, so it has. Oh my god, I literally can't wait. It has a happy face on one side and a sad face on the other.
Oh. And
we're gonna do a star dangling from it with a diamond, which I'm really excited about. So
that sounds good.
Yeah, we've got lots of ideas, and I think it will be a kind of make to order, which will only be like a few weeks. Yeah, that's where it's heading. And then, you know,
people love things if you can make something with a design that then can hang from something else, a chain, or like you said, a dog clip. Or
it's the thing that I love. I've always loved collecting bolt rings, and it's one of my favorite things to collect. So it'll all be it's all stuff I love, because of, you know, otherwise what's the point?
Said he's about to go, my babe. I'll see you soon, babe. She said double dog clips. Well, double dog clips are like rocking horse poo poo. You put them up, and I've got probably 20 people that want them when they come in. You know, they are
Right.
just so. Do you know, Sarah? If you can make something like that, you know, I think there's definitely an opening there
Yeah.
for those. Because they're useful, aren't they?
Yeah.
When you think they do more than just a piece of jewelry, they're multifunctional, and that's
Yeah,
what.
no, I think it's one of the things. If someone was going to say like, what would you start a collection with? Like, I don't know where to start, because people, you know, they kind of look at you with all your jewelry and they're like, oh, it's great, but it's a bit overwhelming. And I actually think that's one of the things. So a dog clip or some kind of
Yeah,
a charm holder of
yeah,
which there's various types, obviously, and a really well working, like a really good chain. Like I always use I've got, it's a medium weight and it's just the perfect length, and I put everything on it. You know, I'll put my wedding rings when I go to the gym on it, and then I'll be putting something else and I'll go out in it. It's like, I think investing in a really good chain that's a good length from
you can put it somewhere safe rather than taking it off.
Yeah, and a charm holder is like, and then you can put, I find that you can then put cheaper charms, or, you know, stuff that's not as expensive on that charm holder, on that, you know, really great necklace, and it looks really expensive.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, well, that sounds like. So have you sort of got a website, or are you? Is it just, as you said, you know, you buy to order? Will they have to just DM you? How can they get?
I have set up an Etsy, so I do.
That's good.
Yeah, so there's an Etsy link on my account, and I will be putting on the items on there that will be made to order, so in the next coming few weeks. And obviously on my stories, and, you know, DM me. I'm incredibly friendly.
Yeah, you are. You know, I feel like we're friends. We've only been chatting to and from the last week. But I'm going to keep in touch with you, and I hope that we can meet at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
I
need a big period film, and then I can come and raid your shop.
Yeah, you can come and rent anything, or you can, you know, take it and use it, and just mention Friarhouse. But
yeah, exactly. That's what people do. Then you can get a credit.
Yeah, well, you know, and I'd always do that, but I presume I have to tell my insurer and things. But
yeah,
you know, I'm sure we can work around it. You know, if it got featured in James Bond or something. But
exactly.
Yeah, but honestly, you're a lovely person, Sarah. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. My last question, and then we're going to sign off, because I bet we've been talking for nearly an hour. What would you say is your mantra for life? Have you got like a mantra
This is easy in a way, because my mum's always told me, treat everybody as you find them, treat everybody the same, no matter who they are, where they come from, how lowly you think they are or how high you think they are. It makes no difference, and that will do you so many favors and has paid me back tenfold in the past. 100%. And I think everyone should do that and treat others the way you expect to be treated.
It's a simple rule for life, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's very simple, but it's very, very effective. But not a lot of not everybody conforms.
No, unfortunately, sometimes in life people forget that. I've had a couple of things happen this week to me that have sort of knocked me a bit, and I've had to take a step back, and luckily I've got a few really, really lovely friends, some on here watching, who've sort of given me a little bit of a talking to and said, it's not you, Victoria. People sometimes just have things going on in their life, and just let it go. It's not you. So I think that's my mantra for today. And it's weird, you didn't know anything about what I've just said, and you said so. You know, there you go.
That's definitely my forever mantra.
Yeah. And I think from even saying that, Sarah, it's weird. I believe now you're going to walk away from this live, and something will happen tomorrow or maybe Monday, and you'll go, oh, Victoria, you know. And I love connecting the dots with people, you know. It makes you feel great if you can do that. And there's no gain for it, but I just think it just is, it's a feel, you know, if someone, you can talk to someone and they can smile and come away and feel happy, which I will after talking to you, I'll have a spring in my step. And when I drive home in my car, I'm going to turn the music up full blast, play some good tunes.
It makes such a difference to someone's day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyway,
negative
Sarah,
or positive?
Yeah, positivity. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to sign you off, and then I'll just say bye to everybody.
Thank you,
and thank
you so much.
I'm going to send you an invite, which means that to collaborate, so that this video, when it's saved, it can go on your feed. So when you see that come up, collaboration, if you just accept it, if you want it.
Yeah, I will. Thank you so much.
Oh, lots of love, Sarah. Thank you, everyone. Bye, Sarah. Oh, wasn't she lovely? She was so gorgeous. I was so excited to talk to her. And I mean, I've still got more questions. I could have carried on chatting and saying more stuff, but we've got to close the shop soon. So I've really got to go. But thank you, everyone who's joined me today. I'm going to save this and put it up on the feed. Next week, I've got a really interesting jewellery historian from the States who's agreed to come on with me, and I'm really looking forward to chat to her. And she is a wealth of knowledge of history. I think she is a historian in her own right, but her speciality is jewellery, antique jewellery. And yeah, so I've got her, and then I've got someone else from America the following week. So I'm starting to sort of get people interested again, wanting to chat to me. So it's really fun. I see there's more of you joining now. And I've already been talking for nearly an hour, so I could do with a drink. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed it. As I say, I'm going to record it and put it up on the feed. But I'm going to say bye for now. See you later, everyone. Bye.